It's not like yeah. A couple of guys are really strong. Rahul Yishan,
yeah, he's also a big biker.
Great runner, efficient runner. I don't think that's the trick to it. But he's on the not because I'm training at that pace. I'm not just doing it for a run. No, but it's good. It's on fun. It keeps you shape, motivates you. That's why. The only time I more Aish Kodesh is that it forces me to train. And I'm always the race.
You know, my wife Michelle is relatively organic, so we went
It's like
You what?
it's already we had some it's not really a great form. Basically, you have a choice to do it. You can make art.
What?
You can make art.
Art?
Art. You can make comics. And if you're really good at it, and programming in it, some of the web stuff is what's one of the interesting things. But the key is very efficient.
I heard last week Shiur they started this, but I never did got distracted.
Very easy to lose money.
Distributing something, but I don't know if it was
very
How often do you put out a game?
like it averaging for 2 years. That's average. I'm
Would I know of any games that you did?
Good. Probably not. My green book comes from the we're making it yeah, and then into a video that so that's probably the biggest name.
And what platform is that?
Ever.
Now, there were pages that you have from last week.
You have
I have some more of them.
yeah, I think you put them.
There are 3.
Yeah.
We're not going to be starting that for another week or 2. But I want to. Now, our friend Richie Parker is paying for all these, which is very nice of him. They're expensive. There it is. Does everybody have? We're not starting it, but everybody has one, right? Okay. He used to tell us to write our name and get a cover. You had to get a cover. I don't know if you still did that when you. That was a big thing when we were kids. When the book's covered. Okay, so I have to leave a little bit early because I'm late for Bar Mitzvah. Hashem. So let's try to move forward. We're on page Gimel. It says on the top left side Gimel. We're learning a little bit of a Hagdama just to get a sense of the history of this moment that we're in. That at a time that we're actually learning Zohar together as a Chabura. And the Mavo, as I told you last week, is from the HaMaor edition of the Zohar HaKadosh, which is an absolutely magnificent, multi-volume piece of work. Not only does it have the translation, it has all kinds of ashlamas of the Perushim on the Zohar on the bottom. As I'm talking about the HaMaor now, it also has all the inyan of the Zohar that Nogeh Halach. It has pieces in Halach like Iyunim and Halachas. It's a terrific work. So that's what we're learning. We began to learn a little bit last week. We're on page Gimel. The question of why did Hashem Yisborach do such a thing that the Zohar HaKadosh was not revealed really for over 1,000 years. That the Zohar HaKadosh was not revealed. It was, again, there were Torahs that were being exchanged between Yechidim individuals. But for the Zohar HaKadosh to actually, as we learned last week, we don't have the entirety of the Zohar. We have only a small part. But what we have is a lot, and it's only a tiny little piece. But why is it that for all of these years, the Zohar HaKadosh was not part of the Rishus HaRabim, and only when things moved after the Churban Beis HaMikdash, then 1,000 years later, then things really began to become revealed. So that's what we're going to learn about now. Some of these things we've spoken about over the years. So on page Gimel, you see where it says, Galus Sefer Zohar B'Doros Achrayim. Galus Sefer Zohar B'Doros Achrayim. Kfar Hisnabe Rashbi, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai already predicted, Ki Sefer Zohar Osid Las Galus Ulas Spashet Rak Bach V'Siyam. Rabbi Shimon knew that these teachings of the Zohar HaKadosh, him together with the Chavraya, that these teachings were not going to spread. Not only not during his lifetime, but for many, many years, they were not going to have a hafotza in the world. He knew that. Not only that, but as we'll see, he Davka made it clear that great care had to be taken that these teachings should Davka not become public property, should not be out there in the Rishus HaRabim, until it would come to the right time, which is Hashgacha Pratis, when that would be. It would not become part of the Rishus HaRabim. So it brings here, Kamay Sha'amar B'Sefer Tikkun Zohar. So it says in the Tikkun Zohar, Amar Rabbi Shimon, Chavraya. Rabbi Shimon said to the Chavraya, he said, Chaverim, B'Vadai Kutshubrichu Estakim Imana, that I know that Kodesh Baruch Hu is masking with us, that he agrees with us. Eloin v'satoin lemehevi b'hai chabura, that the Elyonim and the Tachtonim, that the Malachim, the angels, and the Neshamas in Shemayim, and the Tzaddikim down below here in this world, the Elyonim and the Tachtonim, I know that Kodesh Baruch Hu is masking that they should all be mishtatev b'hai chibura in this sefer. I know that, as we learned last week, that there were neshamas of tzaddikim, of neviim and malachim that came and were megala in different ways to Rabbi Shimon and the Chaverim, and they were mishtatev in creating this. Zakah Dar. Zakah Dar means Ashrei Hadar. The high is Galia Bay. Fortunate is the generation Fortunate the generation when this Sefer will be able to be revealed. Fortunate is that generation when it will be revealed. The Oset Kulei Hai, the Schadsha Ayada, the Moshe B'Soif Yamaya, B'Dar Basra. That all of this in the future is going to be Mischadesh, is going to be revealed and being Mischadesh through Moshe Rabbeinu, which we're going to talk a lot about this, the involvement of Moshe Rabbeinu in the Zohar HaKadosh. All of this is going to be Mischadesh through Moshe Rabbeinu. It doesn't mean that Moshe Rabbeinu is going to appear in the flesh, but that the Hashra and Hashpa of Moshe Rabbeinu, the Sof Yomai at the end of days, B'Dar Basra. B'Dar Basra means the last generation, the end of time. L'Kai Makra, Ma Shahaya Hu Sheyiyah. And this will be a kiyum of the pasuk that says in Koheles, Ma Shahaya Hu Sheyiyah. That which was, it will be, which of course are the letters Moshe. Ma Shahaya Hu Sheyiyah are the letters Moshe. In other words, all Torah comes to us through Moshe Rabbeinu. So the work of the Zohar HaKadosh, with Rabbi Shimon and the Chavaya and the Zohar HaKadosh, was all a continuation of that his galas through Moshe Rabbeinu and through the Ruach HaKodesh and his galas of Moshe Rabbeinu and the Nevi'im and the Malachim and Tzadikim to Rabbi Shimon and the Chavaya. And therefore, Masha Haya Hushiyah. Now he doesn't bring the whole piece in the Tukun Zohar, but it also says the Remez is Mimchain Shifto Hishgiach. Mimchain Shifto Hishgiach, it says, and tell him that from Hashem's place above, Mimchain Shifto, Mem Shin, Hishgiach. Hashem watched. Mimchain Shifto Hishgiach, that Hashem saw to it that these secrets would be revealed, and that ultimately would come back and then be brought to the entire Jewish world at the end of time. And it also brings a remes, Ashrei Hamshe Kacha Lo, and Kacha is the Gematria Moshe. It doesn't bring it here, but Ashrei Hamshe Kacha Lo, Kacha is the Gematria Moshe. V'yispashtusei hu b'chol dar v'dara. And the spashtus of the soul of Moshe Rabbeinu, the spreading forth of the soul of the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu, is spashtusei hu b'chol dar v'dara, in every generation, b'chol tzaddik v'chacham, the misasik b'raisa. In every tzaddik and chacham who is oisek in Torah, ad shitin ribai, till the Torah is divided among the 600,000 souls, ad shitin ribai, la shlama l'kula mi'pigimu dilhain, to bring ultimately to a hashlama, to a repair of the pagam of Adam Arishon. That's what the Zohar says. So there's going to be the reappearance or the resurfacing of Torah's Moshe in its next phase. We have of course Maimon HaSinai, Chamishi Chumshe Torah, Torah Sheba'al Peh, at the time that again that's all his pashtus of Moshe Rabbeinu's Torah, and then the final stage of that, his pashtus of the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu from Har Sinai, is going to take place B'Dar Basra, closer to the end of time. Doesn't mean only the last generation, but it means, as we'll see, it means at the particular tkufa that it was revealed, and that will be the Torah that will bring us to Mashiach Tzidkenu. All the Torah of the Arizal, which we're going to learn now, all the Torah of the Arizal, the Baal Shem HaKadosh, the Baal Gaon, the Ramchal, it's all built upon this final stage of the Espashtus of Moshe B'chol Dor V'Dor, that Nishmas Yisrael are going to be able to be Mesakein the Pagam of Adam Rishon, of the Chet of the Yetzer Das, through this Torah. So he explains, Atam Shadavka B'Sefer Doris. Now, why did this have to wait to the end of time? Why not earlier? Why couldn't this be distributed at the time of Rabbi Shimon? Why did it have to wait? Atam Shadavka B'Sefer Doris Yizka Am Yisrael Ispashtus Sefer Zohar Nizgala Ayidei Elionavi. So Elionavi said, Sha'amar Rashbi. Elionavi said to Rabbi Shimon, this is in this section of the Zohar in Parshas Naso that's called Raya Mehimna. And Eliyahu said to Rabbi Shimon, begin da'asidin Yisrael lemitam mi'ilona dechaya. Because the time will come in the future, when it will be the time in the future for Am Yisrael to taste once again from the Eitz HaChaim, from the tree of life. There was a gzeira that for a certain amount of years, the world will be struggling with the Eitz Hadas Taivera and that darkness. And the time will come, will begin da'asidin Yisrael lemita mi'ilona dechai. The time will come when Am Yisrael will be once again, will be able to taste from the Eitz HaChaim. The Iuhai Sefer HaZorah. And what is the Eitz HaChaim? This book. The Sefer HaZorah is the Eitz HaChaim. Yafkun Bey Min Galusa Barachme, which I've spoken about many times, especially by the Hilulas, Lag Baimer. Yafkun Bey Min Galusa Barachme. With this Sefer, Am Yisrael will be able to leave Golus, will get out of Golus, will be able to greet Mashiach, Barachme, with Rachamim. Eliyahu told that to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. So Rabbi Shimon heard from Eliyahu that the time for the Hisgalus of the Zohar HaKadosh is going to be. He wasn't told what exact time that would be, but it was going to be at a point in time where the world is getting ready for Mashiach Sekenu, and it would be time to begin to prepare by tasting from the Eitz HaChaim, which are these teachings of the Sefer HaZorah. Vayid Amalo b'makam acher. And Eliyahu told Rabbi Shimon also, many people in the world are going to be misparnes. That doesn't mean to make a living. It means are going to be enlivened, be given life through this book, through this mihai chibur dilach, from this chibur. Kad yizgarli lasate b'dor basra. It's going when it's going to be revealed in the world. B'dor basra, meaning widely revealed. Again, there were yichidim that had some of the teachings, but that will be widely revealed. Is b'dor basra b'seif yomai, at the end of days. U'beginei, and because of this, and as a result of this spreading forth of your teachings, of these teachings of the Zohar, u'krosem jor ba'aretz. Liberty, freedom will be proclaimed in the land. That pasuk, of course, across the Jorah is talking about the Yovel, Parshas Bahar, but is referring to the coming of Mashiach. But even before the coming of Mashiach, once this chibur is in the world, there will be this new state that Am Yisrael will live in, that's called Ukrosim Dror Ba'aretz. That will be able to be, even as Golus is still continuing until Mashiach comes, during that time, it will be possible for a Jew to be, on some level, free of the darkness of Golus. And it's only through the teachings of the Zohar HaKadosh. Through these teachings. That's what Rabbi told to Rabbi Shimon. Ubagdamas Rabbi Chaim Vital, the Shaar HaGadomis, is a very, very remarkable Hakdama of Rabbi Chaim Vital, the Arizal's greatest Talmud. To the Shaar HaGadomis, La'ach sheherich leva'er sheksivas sefer Zohar Haisab oven sosum b'chosum. After he explains at length how the Zohar HaKadosh was actually written and how it was intentionally concealed. So then Rabbi Chaim Vital continues and he writes the following. Me'ata yuchel ha'odam lahakshas al devarenu ela. A person could read what I wrote and could ask. He could ask, Im kein Rabbi Abba Tarach al chinam l'loy tzarach l'chtayv dvarim sesumim v'chasumim. So you could ask that Rabbi Abba, who was the one who actually was transcribing the teachings, Rabbi Shimon wasn't writing, Rabbi Shimon was teaching, that one could say, Im kein Rabbi Abba Tarach al chinam l'loy tzarach l'chtayv dvarim sesumim v'chasumim. That Rabbi Abba went to great lengths to work so hard on writing what he wrote, these teachings. Things that are hidden and sealed. In other words, no one's going to be learning this. All of these years, no one's going to be learning this. And even those who have some glimmerings of the teachings are not going to really understand them. The answer, Rabbi Chaim says, lies in what we just learned. That the purpose of this chibur was to be revealed really at the end, not at that time of Rabbi Shimon, but later on. Va'osil Galia is going to be revealed at the end of time. That all of this is going to be renewed and revealed through Moshe Rabbeinu at the end of time. And in the Zohar HaKadosh and Parshas Vayera it says, the time when we get close to Mashiach Sekenu, Afilu Rabbi Da'alma, even children, that's us, even children. Afilu Rabbi Da'alma, Zeminin, next page, Daled, La'ashkecha Rozin, Tamir, and Chachmasa. The time will come, this is one of the signs of the time coming, that even young people, it doesn't mean first grade, but even young people are going to be able to study Rozin, Tamir, and the Chachmasa, these secrets of the secret Chachma. V'lachein be'ois Rashbi Zal. So Rabbi Chaim Vital explains that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai saw the Ruach Kodsho Inyan Zeh. He saw this Ruach HaKadosh. Tziva Rabbi Abba. He commanded Rabbi Abba, Lichtov Sefer Zohar b'derech Helem. Davka, to write the Zohar in such a way, in a way of Helem, in a way where even if somebody will have these writings, will have some notes or some Messiah of some of these teachings, it's going to be Behelem Gadol. It's going to be written in a way that's very, very hidden and very difficult to decipher, to understand. Liyoso Mutznel Mishmeres, because it must be kept guarded. This Chachma has to be kept secret and guarded. Ad Dar Basra, till the last generation, which again doesn't mean mamish only the last generation, but Karv Liyomed Malka Mashiach, close to the days of Melech HaMashiach. Kodesh b'schus hamis askenbo, so that in the schus of those who learn the Zohar HaKadosh, titzmach hagula b'yameinu bez Hashem. The Gula will take place b'yameinu bez Hashem. And this is repeated over and over in the writings of the Mekubalim, how, including the Vilna Gaon, that the ikar inyan of the shtadlus that we can make to bring about the coming of Mashiach is through the learning of the Zohar HaKadosh and the Perushim on the Zohar HaKadosh, the study of the Zohar HaKadosh. Hareki skulas, he explains, Hareki skulas hachibra azer lahavias agula v'cheres me'agolas. This chibur of the Zohar HaKadosh has this skula to bring a gula, and even while we're still in golas, to bring cheres me'agolas, to bring a person some across some drawer ba'aretz, to be free on some level of golas. V'yesh mi shekasav levayr, from one of the Mekubalim, he kamosha kadesh eli yisrael schus lehigal mi'mitzrayim. And there was one of the Mekubalim wrote that the same way, in order for us to be able to get out of Mitzrayim, we needed a schus, and the schus that we needed to get out of Mitzrayim was Dam Pesach and Dam Milah. The Korban Pesach and Bris Milah. So Kain Kadesh Yu Yisrael Ru'uyim Lagula. So too, in order that we should be Ru'uyim, worthy of redemption, Tzarech Sheyedu Chachmas HaEmes. We must learn, we must study Chachmas HaEmes. We'll see the note in a second, a couple of these notes. V'hashla Kosab, and the Shla wrote, Shachibur me'azer haya osid lios gondos. This Sefer Zohar was going to be necessary for it to be hidden. And during the time that it was hidden, the Elyonim, the Shemayim, all the Neshams of the Tzaddikim, and the Malachim, they had their base of medrash that they were learning these Torahs in Shemayim. All of these years, Ve'ima Malachim, Ad Shiavo HaDor Achron, B'Sof until we come to the end of time. Sha'oz Yisgalu L'Tachtayim, and then it would be widely spread to us here on earth. Of the schus ha'oiskim, and the schus of those who learn the Zohar HaKadosh, Yovo Mashiach. So you see that now, mamish over the past few years, and it picked up speed really, since the beginning of the Muhammad in the most remarkable way, with their chaburas all over the world now, where they're learning Zohar HaKadosh. And this was never ever all of the years. There were always, I'm not besides the Sfaradim always had, but among the Ashkenazim, kimat, wasn't done such a thing. And now it's happening everywhere. Am Yisrael feels that the time has come, and this is our way of moving it and making it happen, Be'ez Hashem. Ki oz temale haaretz deya b'sibasa. When it says in the pasuk, "Gemol haaretz deyas Hashem," the world will be filled with knowledge of God, knowledge of Hashem. This is the knowledge, the deyas Hashem, as we're learning in the Radzina, Rabbi Geshe Hanach Erev Shabbos. This is the inyan of Yadata es Hashem. The Yadata es Hashem, to know Hashem is through this. And ki oz temale haaretz deya b'sibasa. The world will begin before Mashiach comes to be filled with the knowledge of Hashem. Ki oz temale haaretz deya b'sibasa. Asher zet tiyeh siba kroiva l'biyasa. And this will be a siba kroiva. This will be a tremendous cause and a push l'biyasa, to his arrival, Mashiach coming. Just now, our dear friend and Rabbi, Rav Reuven Sasson, sent with my grandson, like Yitzchak was there a few weeks ago, and we spoke about this when I was in Shaar last year. Maybe I think we spoke about it 2 years ago, Reuven and myself, that he has already prepared a perush on the Hakdama of the Zohar, which I have, Zohar HaShabbos. It's not yet in the stores, but it's around 400, 500 pages just on the Hakdama of the Zohar HaKadosh. And with that clarity of Rav Sasson, which is unmatched, and with the ruach of Rav Kook and the ruach of Chassidus, it's just, I'm around halfway through it. It's Mashu. Mishum will get there too. But this is all happening now. It's all happening. And other Hakdamas, they just reprinted a Hakdama, a parish, the Hakdama of the Sulam on the Zohar HaKadosh. I read a little piece of Aishal Sudas. They reprinted the parish of the Sulam with the Yunim and Biur and Perushim, and they're doing over now. A couple of Chassidim came to me before the summer that they're doing the Sulam of on the Zohar HaKadosh. They're doing it over. This huge project, this multi-volume huge project, also with Chassidus and from all the different Kabbalahs, from the Sfaradim, Nashkan, all this is happening now, and it's mamish. It's you see that this is what Rabbi Shimon was told by Eliyahu. It's going to be by the door Basra. Look at footnote. Let's learn together. Footnote 13. It's hard to read, probably. I'm sorry. Uba Hakdamas Perish Kisei Melech Tikunei Zohar HaKadosh. So Kisei Melech writes, Ki skulas chiburada, the skula, the power of this sefer, lahavi geula v'cheirus mehagolas, to bring geula and freedom from golas. Uksiv hishbati eschem b'nos Yerushalayim im ta'iru v'im ta'aru v'sahava ad shetechbats. So it says in Shiur Shirim, shelo ta'aru v'sagula kodim shetechbats, that we're forbidden to awaken, to try to force Mashiach, to try to bring geula prematurely. Ashetechbats hashchina bezman bi'ita. Ki im ta'oru ahava kodim bi'ita. In other words, you all know that it says in pasuk bi'ita chishana. In its time, in its appointed time, I will hurry the geula. In its appointed time. So the question is, what are we doing trying to move things along in a faster way? If we were sworn hishbati eschem ta'iru ta'uru ahava ad shetechbats, we have to wait ad shetechbats until Hashem says it's time. So what's all this talk about hisayrus hagula, about making it happen faster, and hisayrus of geula? Kim ta'uru ahava kodim be'ita tzarich lamarek ha'avanis b'tzarvis rabbos v'yahargu kamim Yisrael. Chazal already taught us that if we try to bring Mashiach before the appointed time, that means that since there needs to be a tikkun in order for Mashiach to be here, that in order for that to happen, the averis of the Jewish people are going to have to be cleansed with terrible tsaras and terrible wars. And many, many Jews will be killed if we try to push this before the time, the Gula before the time. Because if we try to force the Gula before its time, so then the tikkun will have to take place faster in order that we should be worthy for Mashiach to come. In order for that to happen, there could be terrible, terrible, terrible tsaras, chas v'shalom. V'yiskatel Mashiach ben Yosef, and Mashiach ben Yosef will die. Kodesh lo yaharig shum echem Yisrael, in order that Jews should not get killed. V'lo yaharig Mashiach ben Yosef, and that Mashiach ben Yosef should not get killed. So velas hashchina, the Shechina and the Jewish people are suffering and waiting. Tsar oirach hagalos, the tsar of this terrible long galus, the toivas benah, that somehow through the long years of galus, it's not that Jews haven't gotten killed during these long years of galus, but we don't know Chalila the other way. But through these long years, this is the toivas benah for the good of the Jewish people. Therefore, it was decreed that the Zohar should not be revealed until later on. Shehu Zman Bi'ita, because the Kabbalah is that the Zman of Bi'ita began around 1,000 years ago. That's already called the appointed time. Things are schlepping out now. The appointed time has already arrived. So it was determined that the Zohar HaKadosh would not be revealed until that period of Bi'ita would arrive. And any time from that time and on, from the Bi'ita and on, is the possibility of Achishana, of Mashiach coming. Without having to be Chalila, all of the tsaras and all of the, and Mashiach ben Yosef dying and so on. So he says that Shuzman Bi'ita, Va'az Beskulas Achibur Krosam Dror, V'yadavar Bi'ita Matov. And then the Zohar will be revealed and will move the pace of Gula towards Mashiach. V'lav mishum da'ach shadar. It's not because our generation is more worthy than the earlier generations. Da'ach shadar doesn't mean that we're better than them. El mishum de Moshe Rabbeinu olav shalom misnoitzeitz b'Rabbeinu Harizal. The neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu was allowed to reappear and to become present in the Ariyah Kodesh, the Talmidov and his Talmidim, Lefarish Mamori Chiburada, to explain the Zohar HaKadosh, Kamesh Omar B'Tikunei Zohar, as it says in Tikunei Zohar, the Osil is Chad Shal Yoda de Moshe, She Yishtadel La Shloma Pegimu Dilhoin, Mitzad Chisaron Idiosam. That through the Arizal and the Talmidim of the Arizal, and then later on through the other tzaddikim, that Moshe Rabbeinu's Torah would become explained and understood. V'hu Ya'azreim v'yalamdim v'yisayim, and Moshe Rabbeinu would help these tzaddikim, l'kavin al ha'emes, to understand the true meaning of these teachings. V'siyua sheyesh b'mamish, in help in a very strong way. V'ashrei hador sheyiskel ezeh, k'moshe Omar Harashbi, as Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said, Zakah dor t'hayis gal yebei. How great and fortunate is the generation when it will be revealed. The Chidor writes about this. The Chidor writes, why is it that the Zohar was only revealed later? Because of so Chidor asks, why wasn't the Zohar revealed to the Amoraim after Rabbi Shimon? Why wasn't it revealed to the Amoraim and the Rabbanim Savaroi and the Ga'inim? Why wasn't the Zohar revealed? And it was only revealed in the lower generations, in generations that are much less worthy than those days of the Amoraim and the Ga'inim and so on. Ve'efshar, he writes, He says the Gzeira of the Churban was that for 1,000 years, from the Churban and on, 1,000 years, during those years, Mashiach could not come. That was the Gzeira of the Churban. And all of those Kedoshim, the Amoraim, the Tanoim that followed Rabbi Shimon, the Amoraim, the Geonim and Rabban and Savrai and so on, they all lived during that 1,000-year period following the Churban, where that was the Gzeira of the Churban was Mashiach was not Be'ita. Mashiach is not coming. That was part of the Gzeira during those 1,000 years. Therefore, HaKadosh did not want the Zohar to be revealed during that time. That's part of the Gzeira. Part of the Gzeira of the Churban was that the Zohar cannot be publicized during that time. Also, there are certain chumras that we find in the Zohar HaKadosh, and certain onshim, such as we spoke about when it comes to Pagam Abris and other things, where the Zohar HaKadosh reveals very, very strong things, very strong and strict punishments and strong things. Kirachim Mavo Banim, of course, the father has Rahmanis on his children, so Hashem did not allow the Zohar to be revealed at that time. Because during those 1,000 years, there were terrible, terrible tsaros. And Am Yisrael was in a state of terrible tsar after the Churban. And if these stringencies of the Zohar HaKadosh would have been made known, that it could have been Chalila, it could have been worse for the Jewish people. It could have been more terrible things could have happened to us. But after 1,000 years passed since the Churban, it already passed the time of Beita, and now it's very possible for Mashiach to come following those 1,000 years of the Gzeirus HaChurban. And because of our not being worthy, this is still schlepping out the Chidor rights. This is part of the Chil Hashem of what we're in. And this Gabriel Yetzar Ma'oid Yankran is Bara Harbe. Chidor says now there have been so many birurim, so much work has taken place, and through the suffering and through the learning and through the mysterious nefesh of Kiddush Hashem, and now we're holding, he says, by the regline, by the end. That's why the end of days are called the heels of Mashiach, Ikvus Mashiach. The Ikvus Mashiach chutzpah yazge. There's tremendous chutzpah at this time of the Ikvus Mashiach. Shia taivish miskaberes beroisa. Why the taiva is getting stronger and stronger. The Yetzirah is stronger and stronger because why? Beroisa ki kol say lehra, because the Satan sees that its end is near. The Yetzirah sees that soon is going to be the end. That's all. Therefore, the zelu mazeh, the strength of the Yetzirah, the other side, is greater and greater and greater as it gets closer to the end of the Satan and the Yetzirah. However, the Arizal said not to be afraid, not to worry. That there have been already many birurim, and the Jewish people have been through many different tsaras, xeris of Tach, and so on. In the Holocaust, we had plenty of tsaras. Therefore, Hashem was geyser that the Zohar would only be revealed at that time, 1,000 years after the Churban, in order to protect the generations at the end. And if we'll be zeicher to learn these secrets and to know how to live, it will bring a Yeshua to the Jewish people, meaning from the Tsaras and also from the Yetzirah, from the Taivas. Of course, in the Zohar there are also many stringencies and there are many Einshim, if we're not keeping things carefully, to try to keep us in line, that we should behave. Because since the Yetzirah is going to be particularly strong at the end of time, we need strong measures, both in Hisayrus, in in feeling Hashem's love, which is the Zohar, every page is about Hashem's love, and at the same time, the warnings and the punishments and so on that are found in the Zohar. Noisaf mi'ikuv HaMashiach, which is all holding back Mashiach Sekenu B'vadai. The Gedali HaDorah Say Mekayim Kol HaChumis VaKadoshis. Ach HaMayin Ha'am Lo Yodu Es Kol Toikev HaChumis V'Ayin Shenamuter Shu Shoyken B'Eden Iksa. The truth is that even though there were tzaddikim that knew about all of these stringencies, most people didn't know about them. And Mutav Yushoyken, that they continued on making mistakes, they didn't know these things. However, now, B'Doros HaChronim, at the end of time, Ki Gover HaYetzer L'Hachti, when the Yetzer, the Chida wrote this long before internet, Ki Gover HaYetzer L'Hachti, when the Yetzer is unbelievably strong. So the Yetzer is like a nuclear, the Yetzer now is the nuclear weapon. So the only way to fight against that is with the nuclear energy of Rabbi Shimon. We need all of the chumras, all of the or of the Zohar HaKadosh to be revealed. That's the strength and the power that we have to fight against the koyach of the Sitra Achra at the end of time. So it's not because we're better than the earlier generations; it's the opposite. It's because we're on a lower level than the earlier generations. That's what we see. The Zohar HaKadosh tells us that when we left by the Churban Beis HaMikdash, by the first Beis HaMikdash, and we went into Golas Bavel, and Al Nahar's Bavel, Sham Shabda Gambachinu, we were crying by. So over there, Yecheskel Navi was given permission to reveal the Nevuah of Ma'aser Merkava. Even though we know Chazal tells us that Yecheskel Navi was not as great as the Yeshaya Navi. It wasn't as great as the Navi Yeshaya. As the earlier Navim, he was not as great. So why was he given rishus to reveal such secrets of the Merkava, of the chariot, which is the Indian of Hashgachas Hashem? Why was he given in this whole Kabbalah of the Merkava, which is a very big part of the Zohar HaKadosh? Why, and the earlier Kisvei Kabbalah, why that we have? Why was Yecheskel Navi given rishus? So the Zohar HaKadosh explains that because when we left Yerushalayim, we were the first time we were in Galus, we were in such an unbelievably dark and terrible place that if not for that his Galus of the Merkava, we would have left everything. We would not have been able to hold on. And it's the same thing with the Zohar HaKadosh. That Davka, at the earliest time that it was possible, after those 1,000 years, so the Zohar was revealed because we need this Or, the Zohar, to contend with the Koach of the Sitra Achra, the other side, and the difficulties of Galus. And all this is to bring about a tikkun of the Chet of Adam Rishon and so on, that we should be able to eat from the Eitz HaChaim. Those who listen will listen, and those who don't listen will be punished. If you don't listen to these teachings, then you are going to suffer more, because these teachings are the way to bring us out, to help us to manage through Galus, and to be able to be Mizgaber on the Yetzer Hara at the end of time. Mr. Shem, next week is Rosh Hashanah. So the week following that is that Yom Kippur. What days Yom Kippur come out on?
Wednesday night.
So okay, so we'll have the Mishnah Tuesday to finish up the Mavo, and then after Yom Tov, we'll begin to learn the Zohar.
There will be a Maram, and did they know that the Zera was that Moshe definitely was not going to come during this time? Did they have that knowledge?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the Tzaddikim did. Yeah, they did know. That's why you see that others wrote about this, how during that time they really didn't speak much.